Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren Evanthia, and this is my husband Des sitting next to me, and we're presenting on Stranger Than Fiction, another Stranger Than Fiction news article.
I really can't wait to hear what tonight is all about. I think I have a good idea, and I think it's going to be a bit freaky.
Definitely. We're speaking about something that ties human beings together, something that unites people across the whole world, one common thread that defines humanity food.
Food. It
Food.
defines you and me.
I love food, and I don't know anyone that does not love food. Food is awesome, food is amazing.
And I think that's where the awesomeness of this discussion ends.
Well, I think enjoying food is what makes humans human. The fact that we feast, the fact that we talk about food so much, take so much time preparing food, prepare food in so many different ways. Food is
Spend half our
definitely
budgets on food,
spend all
etc.
our money on food. Food is an entire industry. If food gives us joy,
It's part of joy on earth. I
part
believe
of
we should
life.
absolutely enjoy food, and you shouldn't be ashamed to actually cook good food and seek out good food, things to enjoy in life. I think it's absolutely awesome.
Put in the comment section what your favorite meal is or what you cooked tonight for supper. We'd love to hear, and feel free to share your recipes.
So what are we going to eat for supper?
Still to be decided. We are going to be discussing two very scary articles. Number one, the future of food, what we'll eat in 2028.
As if there's no choice.
As if
Seriously.
there's no choice. And
Wow.
the second article, two different websites called The Future of Food, what will you be eating in 2050?
Will you be eating?
Will
This
you even
sounds
be
Klaus
eating?
Schwabby, hey, doesn't it?
Well, all the origins.
You will own nothing, and you will be happy,
or else.
or else.
So, as always, we'll put the links to these two articles in the description, which you'll find below this video. Should we get started?
Yeah, I think we should get started. I do want to thank everyone for us reaching 600 subscribers. I think that's an awesome milestone, and for the awesome support.
Thank you very much. So let's get started. We've all heard the future menu may involve less meat and dairy, but don't worry, we could have customized diets, outlandish vegetables, robot chefs, and guilt-free gorging to look forward to instead. And we reckon that makes up for missing out on the odd sausage.
Oh, I'm getting stuck on the word guilt.
Me too. What guilt?
Yes, I don't feel guilty. So guilt needs to be created.
Well, they tried hard. I don't think that guilt has reached even a percentage of the world's population, but we'll see in this article what exactly they mean by that. But just this guilt-free gorging reminds me of a certain movie that you love very much. Remember?
Yes, I do remember.
The Hunger Games. When Katniss is invited to the heist district and she says, "Oh, I'm full, don't worry, I don't want any more food, I'm full." And then they say, "But you can just take this to vomit it all up and start all over again."
Yes, it was absolutely enlightening. The entire, what's it, 4 movies?
Four.
4 movies. If you haven't watched it, watch The Hunger Games. See how food is portrayed.
There's so many dystopian nightmares which I feel are very realistic. They paint a very realistic picture, as you'll see now. Before 1928, no one had tasted bubblegum. So just think about the angle they're using in this article. In the late 1930s, frozen cream desserts threw off their reputation for being as hard as rock with US invention soft serve ice cream. Popping candy introduced children's mouths to a bizarre
Oh,
effervescence 20 years later.
I absolutely love that stuff.
I love popping candy
It's
too.
probably extremely terrible for your system.
It's probably not so healthy.
Probably not.
I love it,
I
though.
actually don't know. I absolutely loved it, yes.
And in the late 1990s, Red Bull showcased a strange medicinal flavor that's since become synonymous with energy drinks. The foods we eat are always evolving and new tastes are being created. By 2028, you can expect to be tucking into foods unlike anything you've experienced before.
Well, that's around the corner, eh?
It is around the corner.
That's 5 years
5
away.
years from now. So this article, we'll get into it. And
We're going to be eating stuff that we've never thought of.
But just
before.
note how this introduction, just this first paragraph, prepares you for the fact that food has always changed, and now it's going to be changing even more, which is completely nonsense.
A light bulb just went off now. I actually think what they are talking about here is maybe the food that we enjoy so much now might not be available. Wow.
Let's see what they say. In 2028, food will be tailored to your genome.
I don't genome this at all.
Today we
Wow.
know, today,
Hair going up again, red flags.
yeah, there's lots of red flags here.
Oof.
Today we know that healthy
How's
eating
your genome doing today? Tell us in the comments.
Today we know that healthy eating is important to keep our bodies in tip-top condition. This link between diet and health was first proved in the mid-1800s by Scottish naval surgeon Dr. Joseph Lind, who is credited with running one of the earliest ever clinical controlled trials. His study demonstrated that citrus fruits could protect sailors from scurvy. The watershed finding set the stage for lemons and limes to be issued as standard in sailors' rations and showed how healthy eating can save untold numbers of lives.
Tip top. You will stay alive. You will not make unhealthy choices. You will choose certain foods, and the bad foods will not be available to you.
These,
That's what I. That's
that's,
what
I
I
think this is
hear.
where it's going. These days, science may have dissected almost every element of our diet, but many of us still feel at sea. Even when sticking to official advice, healthy foods that seem to energize one person can cause another to feel fatigued and bloated. In 2015, a team of scientists from Israel tracked blood sugar levels in the blood of 800 people over several days, making the surprising discovery that individuals' biological response to identical foods varied wildly. Some people had blood glucose spike after eating sugary ice cream, while others' glucose levels only increased with starchy rice, a finding at odds with conventional wisdom.
So there's actually no secret recipe that fits all. And that's going to be interesting because I think this is where tasting robots come in. We've spoken about the tasting
We did.
robots, and we've spoken about people in tip top condition, only the people in the best condition when we spoke about the line. If you haven't watched those videos, please go and watch them. You will find them in the playlist.
But I think the common underlying theme here is that it's not up to us to decide what's healthy for us anymore.
Yes. I can certainly see that because of this complex preferences or what is good for your body, how this plays out into AI making the best decisions for your body. And I think that's where the word genome comes in. So this is, I can't wait to hear what else they actually have to say.
In the next 10 years, the emerging field of personalized nutrition will use genetic tests to fill in those gaps to offer healthy eating guidance tailored to the individual.
I love the way you said the word nutrition. It was so English.
Some companies, so called nutrigenetics services, already test your DNA and offer dietary advice, but the advice can be a hit and miss. By 2028, 5 years from now, we will
Ah.
understand much more about our genetics. Dr. Jeffrey Blumberg, a professor of nutrition science and policy at Tufts University in Massachusetts, is one of the most outspoken advocates of this new science. He's been
I already see a problem here.
what?
Policy.
Hmm.
He's a scientist, but policy. They use the word policy. That's a political thing.
I think scientists are replacing politicians.
Absolutely. I think you
Scientists
might.
are the new politicians,
I think you might be right.
which is an entire problem all on its
Oh my
own.
word.
He insists that DNA testing will unlock personalized nutrition. I'll be able to tell you what kinds of fruits, what kinds of vegetables, and what kinds of whole grains you should be choosing or exactly how often, he says. Sadly, personalized nutrition looks set to make cooking meals for the whole family just a little bit more taxing.
So families would be a problem, right?
Well, it's already a problem in so many ways.
Hmm.
So this is the part, that part for me, a millennial, is still somewhat palatable. What comes next is a horror story.
Okay. I can't wait.
In 2028, food will be engineered to be more nutritious.
Engineered. So
Hmm.
now it's scientists and engineers.
So food is naturally nutritious. It was
Not according to these
naturally
people.
nutritious for centuries, and then,
Now it's deficient, defective, etc.
well, let's see what they say. Natural is a buzz term food marketers love to use, but barely any of our current produce ever existed in the natural world. The fruit and vegetables that we enjoy today have been selectively bred over thousands of years, often mutated out of all recognition from the original wild crop. Just take note of the
Yeah,
psychological
beautiful.
manipulation taking
As if
place.
what they are doing is not going to take that to a logarithmic scale away from what we've
It's
been
going to
doing
be
up until
taken
now.
to inhumane levels, literally. Carrots weren't originally orange, they were scrawny and white. Peaches once resembled cherries and tasted salty. Watermelons were small, round, hard, and bitter. Aubergines used to look like white eggs.
I guess they were there to tell us, hey,
But the
these people can time travel. Fascinating.
But the selective breeding for bulky and tasty traits, combined with intensive farming practices, has sometimes come at a nutritional cost. Note how they're not talking about pesticides, they're not talking about GMO,
No, that's fine.
they're talking about farming practices. So they talk about how certain minerals and vegetables have waned out of fruit and vegetables over the past century. With today's vegetables having about two-thirds of the minerals they used to have, we're not addressing soil health. We're not addressing any of the real
None of
issues
those
here.
things.
It's like, oopsie, the natural world's not good enough for us.
But it's very, very much the same as most of the politicians today. They don't actually address the real problem at all.
Never. By 2028, genetics and biomolecular science should have redressed the balance. So, not going back to natural regenerative farming, not going back to our roots, not being more organic, not that. Genetics and biomolecular science should have redressed the balance so that DNA from one organism is inserted into another, eliminating the need to undertake generations of selective breeding to acquire desirable traits. Just last year, researchers from Australia showcased a banana with high levels of provitamin A, an important nutrient not normally present in fruit. To create this fruit, the researchers snipped out genes from a specific type of New Guinean banana that's naturally high in provitamin A, then inserted them into the common banana variety. So that still sounds fairly innocent. Where is this going? Let's read on. Over the next 10 years, the number of nutritionally enhanced crops will probably explode. Precise DNA editing technology, namely a technique called CRISPR-Cas9, now allows alteration of plant genetic code with unprecedented accuracy. Get ready for tasty apples with all the goodness of their bitter forebears, peanuts that don't trigger allergies, and lentils that have a protein content equivalent to meat. It will be like creating the orange carrot all over again.
So what they are saying is that they'll give us something that look nice that we're familiar with, but with a nutritional value of what was there before. Like I said, they time travel to the past, saw what things look like, and then they come back and they re-engineer everything in a nice package.
Basically, what it sounds like to me is that there's nothing you're going to eat that's not being messed with in a lab. And
And we have to
that's
trust these scientists. They absolutely care about you. They don't care about profit or anything like that. They care for humanity, etc. And
in
I have a big sarcasm mark over my head right now.
In 2028, food will be different from anything you have ever tasted before. New flavors arrive unpredictably as food manufacturers create new products. Silicon Valley, well known for attracting the brightest minds, is becoming the global hub for food innovation. A startup currently making waves is Impossible Foods, which has created a meat free burger that sizzles in the pan, tastes like meat, and bleeds. Designed to be sustainable and environmentally friendly, the patties are made with wheat protein, coconut oil, potato protein, and flavorings. The secret ingredient is heme. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
I have no idea.
The,
It doesn't matter.
the oxygen carrying molecule that makes both meat and blood red and seems to give meat much of its flavor. The heme that Impossible Foods uses has been extracted from plants and produced using fermentation. It's a growth industry with competitors such as Beyond Meat and Moving Mountains cooking up similar burgers, and plans are afoot for plant-based steaks and chicken. It doesn't stop there, however. Other startups are pioneering animal-free milk and egg whites. Expect to get used to the new taste of and meat-free meat and dairy-free dairy.
Get used to it.
No
Not like you
choice.
have a
There's
choice.
no
No,
choice.
there's no
This is
choice in
part
this.
of the United Nations Agenda, Sustainable Development Goals.
And
And
these are the parts that they don't tell you in detail. So you look at the goal and you think it sounds like this, but actually it's this.
Well, what's actually wrong with this? A lot of people might think this is great. This is human beings progressing. This is
You can't
evolution.
grow this in your garden. They're going to ban you from growing something in your garden.
Exactly. What's happening now gives control to other people over your own lives.
No, because you need food to sustain yourself.
Yes.
You need water to sustain yourself, and I can't wait to see what they plan to do with the water.
But imagine you can't grow your own food anymore. You can only get lab grown meats and severely genetically modified vegetables. If they can control the nutritional content, they can also give you food that's not nutritional at all, rendering entire populations sick and weak.
Well, I suppose if people just trust them, they can do whatever they want to you.
Yes, trust the science, right? We heard that a lot. It's now been more than a decade since Chef Heston Blumenthal first served his famous Sound of the Seas dish,
Blumenthal.
for which diners listened to a recording of breaking waves to heighten the salty flavors of seafood. So you're listening to waves, the seafood is perceived to be saltier. It is well established that all senses inform the flavor of food.
Oh
Desserts
my word.
taste creamier if served in a round bowl rather than on a square
Enter the
plate.
metaverse.
Yeah.
I can just see the metaverse conversing with this situation.
So you'll be eating ice blocks, but you'll have your goggles on,
Goggles on
and
while
you'll
you do
see
that.
an
And
amazing
you'll
meal.
taste it differently. It might smell differently too.
Oh no. Um, background hissing or humming makes food taste less sweet, and crisps feel softer if we can't hear them crunching in the mouth. The emerging field of neurogastronomy brings together our latest our understanding of neurology and food science, and will be a major player in our 2028 dining.
So manipulating our stupidity.
Again, psychological manipulation
Hmm.
and
Brainwashing.
attacking what we need to survive.
Yeah. A lot of people absolutely love this.
Unusual processed foods will make a splash in the years to come, including novelties like edible spray paint, algae protein snack bars, beer made with wastewater, and
No, man.
and even lollipops to cure hiccups. We don't know exactly what will be on tomorrow's supermarket shelves, if supermarkets still exist, that is, due to the secretive nature of the multinational food corporations.
I'm glad they included that in brackets. If supermarkets still exist,
If,
that
but
is.
then I find this very revealing that they say due to the secretive nature of the multinational food corporations. Have we got anyone here subscribe to us that work for multinational food corporation? Let us know in the comments below if there are any industry secrets that it's important for everyone to know. But we do know that ice
Oh,
cream
I see something about magnetic particles.
magnetic possibly getting there. But we do know that ice cream and chocolate that don't melt in warm weather are definitely under development. Nanotechnology is going to feature. Researchers are currently devising nanoparticles that give delayed bursts of flavor in the mouth. And earlier this year, a team of chemists created tiny magnetic particles that bind to and remove off tasting flavor compounds in red wine while preserving its full aroma. Are you looking forward to dining in 2028, 5 years from now?
Yeah, let us know in the comments. I mean, this is really freaky. I'm going to have to wrap my head around it, and certainly something we need to look at in more detail. But this is not all. You're gonna put me through a lot more of this.
I'm going to put you through a lot more torture. How are you feeling about the future of food right now? Let us know in the comments. Do you embrace this kind of change, this evolutionary human progression, or are you apprehensive about what the future offers? Are you apprehensive about the move away from just being humane, organic humans, natural human beings living off a natural earth?
Well, my fear is literally us not being allowed an alternative, and as long as I can do what I want to, there is no problem here. It doesn't look like this is what they are portraying.
It doesn't look like there's an alternative, an
No,
option for anything other than
it
this.
doesn't.
So if you can stomach any more, then listen on, because now we're going to read about the future of food in 2050, and this is quite a revolutionary
So this
article
is 22 years later.
outlining what we're going to be eating in 22 years. My youngest will be 31 in 22 years. She'll be younger than me now. And think about the kids you have. Do you want them growing up in this reality? I definitely don't. With growing pressures from a rising world population, global warming, inequality in access to food, and changing views on sustainability, the food we eat will undergo major changes in the future.
Will undergo. End of
Well,
story. Because of all the things I just mentioned.
so it's decided, set
Yeah.
in stone, that the population, global warming, and everything else is a problem. It has been decided for us. Whatever your favorite dishes may be today, chances are they will look quite different in 20 to 30 years. Overall, the culinary landscape is predicted to undergo major changes in the decades ahead, not only because our habits and attitudes towards food are changing. Are our habits and attitudes toward food changing? Are yours?
No, I think the majority of people, they are totally out of kilter with what's been spoken of here. I think if I have to relay this to most people, they will think, oh my goodness, what nonsense is this? This will never happen. So I don't think most people will believe that this is even possible.
I'd be cautious to say this will never happen. We need to do.
I fully agree. I understand why this is being pushed. That's why we're covering it,
Mhm.
because it is stranger than fiction. And truth is certainly stranger
We
than
should have
fiction.
done this while eating braai meats.
Oh my word.
By 2050, the global population is expected to hit 10 billion people. And we did a video on the fact that we've reached 8 billion people.
Yeah.
So you can go look at that. But this means that to feed everyone, it will take 56% more food than is produced in the world today, according to the United Nations Environment Program.
Do we trust this program?
Never. Unfortunately, there is not enough agricultural land available to provide larger future populations with the kind of diet people are eating in most countries today. Absolute nonsense. Whoever wrote that has not driven around South
Listen,
Africa.
the math just does not make sense.
No,
Okay, if we reach 8 billion people, you only grow by 2
2
billion.
billion.
Why do you need 56% more food? This is based on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So, once again, something has to change in that maths equation. And somehow, I think it's going to be the number of people in existence on the planet.
And cows.
And pigs and
Cows
chickens
are under
and,
attack too.
yeah, under attack. Maybe the
Why,
fish can hide in the ocean.
why we will need to eat differently. Why we will need to eat differently.
Well,
The key reasons which are necessitating a fundamental shift in how we think about food can be summarized as population growth, effects of global warming, inequality in access to food.
isn't this being driven all over mainstream media everywhere?
It's
These specific,
everywhere.
these talking points are just hammered down your throat.
It's
Whether you believe in how severe it is or not, or what side of the debate you're on, this is definitely a mainstream hammering, pummeling with this
when
information.
we were away, we switched on the TV for about 5 minutes.
We did.
We dared to. Firstly, the kids' show was absolutely psychotic. And then the adverts in between, how climate change and those keywords are just slipped into everything, whether it's an advert, whether it's a soapy, no matter what it is.
I couldn't believe it.
It was remarkable. So here we
Luckily, we
are
don't have a
again.
television at home.
Well, it was educational in the
It
wrong kind
was.
of way. Even though global poverty has seen a sharp decline over the past decades, there are still far too many people living hungry in the world. To make matters worse, global warming is very likely to affect global, regional, and local food security by disrupting food availability, decreasing access to food, and making utilization more difficult, predicts the US Department of
It's
Agriculture.
like that they are predicting what they are going to do to
So
people.
basically, they're saying there's too many people, global warming is going to make it impossible to grow your own food. Therefore, depend on us. All of these factors mean that in the years to come, mankind will be looking at alternate crops that can be grown with smaller carbon footprints, insufficient quantities, and which will have high nutritional value, from lab-grown meat, edible insects, seaweed, a stronger shift towards plant-based foods, to massive changes in food production and agriculture. The next decades will see a considerable shift in what food we put on our plates. In a future that will require tackling multiple challenges at once, consumers, so we're still consumers, will not be left without options. After all, eating fulfills emotional and social needs in addition to providing nourishment. Food culture is an integral part of most societies, and most people will probably not want to change it. So here's what in store for food menus.
So here's your options.
Scary stuff.
Well,
Edible insects. Close to 2 billion people on Earth already practice.
Oh, wait. I want to look at the four main options.
Okay.
Here.
On the menu, edible insects, seaweeds, plant-based meat, and lab-grown meat.
So no real meat. The only meat you can have is an insect, a cockroach or cricket or
That's the
grasshopper.
meatiest you're gonna get.
They can go fly a kite. I mean, really, I don't think this is going to.
So what I would do, what I'd like to suggest that you do is go to YouTube when this video is finished and just Google food of the future or future food and just watch some of those videos. It is frightening the kind of conversations that
are literally telling us
between academics that actually have no concept of what real life's all about.
I think the world will go to war because of things like this.
It's scary. It's scary to think what the future holds. But here we go. Edible insects. Close to 2 billion people on Earth already practice No, never mind. Over 2 billion people already practice the eating of insects. Edible insects have been consumed by various cultures for centuries and may be integral to the future of food security. Not only are insects rich sources of protein and other essential nutrients like vitamins, minerals, and amino acids, they are also more eco-friendly to grow, causing far less harm to the planet than the consumption of meat. Different startups and large companies have already jumped on the bandwagon. Aspire Food Group is currently building the world's largest ever cricket farm powered by the Internet of Things. And the company already operates scalable, flexible cricket farms in the US.
Who's eating this stuff?
I have no idea.
I mean, who are they actually selling to? That's what I would like to know.
Seaweeds.
We should do something on this Aspire food company.
Seaweeds or algae, sometimes referred to as sea vegetables, are another food trend that has already made inroads into our dietary habits. You may have already consumed them in sushi or in the form of spirulina, a popular addition to the diets of the super health conscious. Like insects, not like insects.
No, that's very different.
Seaweeds also cause little harm to the environment, grow quickly, and contain many nutrients, making them an ideal candidate as a food of the future. Canadian startup Cascadia Seaweed, for example, already operates offshore farms and a seed nursery. And is now focused on launching consumer food products. Plant-based meat is up next. A lot of research is going into the area of crafting plant-based meats. A molecule called heme that can carry the taste and texture of meat is being adapted for uses in new food products. Other ingredients like wheat-based protein, coconut oil, and potato starch are also in play in the creation of plant-based alternatives to meat. The market is expanding rapidly, with one of the most successful IPOs in the last few years belonging to Beyond Meat, a company specialized in plant-based meat substitutes.
The fact that they call it Beyond Meat. In other words, it's better, it's improved. Meat is left behind.
Yeah.
That's basically what I hear. Beyond Meat.
Beyond Meat. Lab-grown meat. For those who still cannot get around the fact that plant-based meat is, while not meat, there are lab-grown alternatives that are, in fact, real meat.
Ha ha ha.
Except that no animals need to be killed or harmed in making it. The first burger made of lab-grown meat cost a whopping $325,000 to make back in 2013. However, dozens of startups and companies are currently involved in developing lab-grown meat. With a taste, a few years ago, the cost of a lab-grown burger dropped to just $12. Given the speed of development, The lab-grown protein market may account for 35% of the global meat market by 2040, estimates A.T. Kearney.
So that's around the corner.
It's around the corner. It's within our lifetimes and well within the peak of our children's lifetimes.
Absolutely.
So does the future of food look high-tech and flavorless? Not necessarily, as it is said to be healthier, sometimes tastier, and probably more sustainable. Overall, these alternatives are predicted to be better for the planet. Food from the planet is not considered to be better for the planet.
Yeah.
Food grown in a lab is considered better for the planet than the food naturally occurring on the planet.
Yeah.
Food will certainly be produced and consumed quite differently in the coming decades.
It's like they're trying to punt an idea because this is not a reality. They have to try and make it sound niche. They have to try and make it sound acceptable, and obviously make it sound palatable, pun intended, to people out there. And I think in many places in the world, they're going to come short. But what happens the moment you remove the other sources of food? You ban the production of that food. So I see that being something that we need to research because both can't coexist if you look at the plans that they have now. So we certainly need to look at that and maybe we can report on that in future.
I think it's very sobering because I think food is something that we all live for in various ways to survive, but also to enjoy life.
Yeah.
And now natural eating, natural living is being ripped from under us. Yesterday we covered the line, how our communities and homes will look. Now this is the food. And I'm wondering what other changes we'll be covering in the near future about the future.
Well, it's stranger than fiction. And the truth is certainly stranger than fiction in the world that we live in today. And that is why we bring you this information. Tell us in the comments what you think, how you feel, what you see the future as, what you see happening to your children and their children in the near future by 2030, by 2040, by 2050.
I'd like to know your thoughts on what you think this very unnatural menu will do to us as human beings. Please let us know in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. Looking forward to bringing you more content like this.
Thank you so much for watching with us, spending this time with us. And remember that if you like this content, please subscribe to the channel. Click the bell icon to receive notifications for future videos. And then please also consider sharing this with your friends and family.